welcome back to the Pride at Villa. Following the wake of Aston Villa's brilliant defeat away from home at Crystal Palace and being just hours before the game against Cardiff City in the FA Cup, I thought I'd come in here and have a quick discussion about what Villa's priorities should be for the season going ahead. Following on from that defeat against Crystal Palace, it's put a lot of the Villa fan base in a little bit of turmoil and ultimately put a lot of questions on what Villa's outcome is going to be for this season. So, given the competitions that we're still in, I thought I'd have a quick discussion about each, see which one I think personally Villa should be taking full credit into their responsibility and really what Villa should be doing to maximise what has been quite a lacklustre season. So if you are going to enjoy this video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road, let's get it going and let's get it started. First and foremost then, the FA Cup. We're going to rank this or talk about this in terms of obviously what I think should be the priority and go down the list. So firstly is the FA Cup. Villa for me are mostly suited for this competition as this is what we should be having the best chance of achieving this season. Bear in mind, Villa have played some hard games in the Champions League, but have still managed to come out on the winning side. We can all remember the run we kind of had in the Carabao Cup earlier this season where we did eventually lose to Crystal Palace. But the FA Cup for me is the best opportunity that Villa have for any form of success this season. Obviously, Villa currently are in the 5th round of the competition. We are going against Cardiff City at home as of recording, which is 24 hours away. But this is a really good opportunity to Villa to progress on. It is the furthest we have reached in competition since 2015 when we went all the way to Wembley, but unfortunately losing 4-1 to Arsenal in the FA Cup final, Carabao Cup final. But this is the best opportunity that Aston Villa have, without a doubt. It goes without saying, injury-wise, has been a complete big factor in Aston Villa this season. We haven't had the squad depth that we've been crying out for so many seasons, to look on that bench and have those reinforcement options. And whilst, yes, some signings have been brought in, ultimately injuries have played a massive part in it. But that is a discussion for another time. However, the level of opposition that we have played against in the FA Cup, we've done surprisingly well. We got a great win against Tottenham in the last round, and now drawing Cardiff City, a team that is struggling in the Championship, more towards the bottom half of the table. This is a great opportunity for Aston Villa to capitalise on. Obviously, Villa winning the title 7 times. It is a great competition in Villa's history. The last time we won it, however, 1957. It has been a very long time, hasn't it? Nearly over 70 years since Villa have last won the competition. It is something that Villa, if they really want to capitalise on, this is the best time to do it. Let's look at the positives for doing this. Firstly, it gives you a position in the Europa League competition. Now, bear in mind, league currently stands, Villa are in 10th place. We don't look a shred of chance of getting into a European finish, but that's for a discussion in a moment. But if we want that chance and opportunity to still remain within Europe, still attract those top players like your Rashfords and Asensios, then you need to be in some sort of European competition. Otherwise, you're not really going to be attracting that top caliber players. The players that we have brought in will want to move on to opportunities elsewhere. It falls down the rest, and not to mention from a higher club standard, financially, it's absolute ruins if we don't make the European competition as well. Considering the amount of effort that's gone into it for this season, it kind of would be a massive downfall to go from one season to another and not really build upon that level of experience that Villa have gained since Unai Emery's come to the club. But most importantly, it's silverware. It's something that Villa really are desperate to see. We're all desperate to see. I'm bloody desperate to see us win it. Obviously, the closest we came to in recent years was the Carabao Cup final against Manchester City, which we still got robbed in, don't ever forget that. But obviously, you could count the Championship playoff trophy as one, because technically it is one. We won a pre-season game in Hong Kong. But ultimately, if we want a major trophy to come back to Aston Villa, the FA Cup is the best opportunity that we will have of this. Like I said, Cardiff City, they're not in the best run of form. They are a team that are lower down the table. And if we just have a look at some of those teams that are still in the FA Cup, in fairness, there is an opportunity. So let's look at it really. Obviously Crystal Palace is still in the game. It'd be typical if we get those. Bournemouth, they're a very good side. They're ones that have been showing the kind of form of progression that we showed last season under Iriola. Manchester City are obviously still in it. Newcastle, I would say Man United, because on our day we can really dick it about with them. Fulham, Nottingham Forest. There are some teams in there. Obviously, if you haven't missed it, today Unai Emery said we're not really considered a contender for the FA Cup, but we are going to try and go for that. Now, whilst I don't personally agree with that mentality, given that I don't see what else he could be thinking we're going to be achieving this season, in a way you can understand it given the level of opposition that we're playing there, and perhaps maybe outside of us fan base, we're not considering ourselves to be the top front runners in the FA Cup. However, it's still a great competition, and for me the priority should be there. We want to see some silverware. If we're not going to achieve a high or European finish in the league, Champions League we'll come on to in a second, but if we're not going to win the Champions League, just go for something sort of silverware. The team is still there. Players will be coming back from injuries within the next week or two. Obviously the international break's coming up, but get through this game, get that next round draw, and there's a great opportunity there for Aston Villa to finally win some silverware and bring home the FA Cup to the Villa ground. I'm now going to briefly just touch on the Champions League. I don't think this needs much of an explanation, because simply put, I don't believe we're going to be winning it. However, I think there is a different reason for Villa to go a little bit more considerate with the squad going ahead for the Champions League rather than the Premier League. Simply put, I just want to see Villa put a credit to themselves and go as far as they can in the Champions League. You know, for making the top 8 within the knockout stage is very bloody impressive. The opposition that we've managed to win it and put some decent performances in against in the knockout stage was very impressive from Aston Villa to achieve with the squad that we have, and again those opponents that we're playing at. Obviously we're never going to forget the Bayern Munich game now for a while. That was a great level of competition and side commitment from the team to see that there. But for me, really, I just want to see Villa push on and show why at least we can hold ourselves in good account for a Champions League season. Where in my own personal prediction, I thought we was going to do Newcastle and fall out before making that top 8. I think Villa have done really well for themselves. Obviously, our game currently is against Club Brugge. Now, we did lose against those, unfortunately, Tyrone Mings making a very meaty mistake, wasn't it, with the handball penalty fiasco. However, if Villa can rebound from that, we'll have corrected the wrong from there and managed to progress into the competition. But the problem follows, it's either PSG or Liverpool. Now, for me personally, I would prefer Liverpool. I think Liverpool on the day, on a competition where it's just, you know, 2 games against 2 legs, admittedly. But, you know, like I said, Villa players will be coming back into the team. It's a one-off competition. Could Villa win it? Of course they could. But you just got to look at Liverpool and say they are the strongest team in Europe right now. Not to mention I also don't fancy us against PSG. But even then, it's still, if we were to get past that, then fair play. But you still got to think of the level of opposition we've got to be playing in that around. I just don't believe Villa are going to do it, and I think everyone's reasonably thinking the same. So for me, hold yourself in a good account, show some great credibility in a competition like that, and hopefully we can at least right the wrong against Club Brugge before going on to what would be a very interesting quarter-final match against either Liverpool or PSG. Lastly then, we have the Premier League. I'm going to be honest, I don't really know where Villa's going to finish with this one. After that damning defeat against Crystal Palace 4-1 away from home, which fair enough on away form wise we've been absolutely shocking. We are about 16th in terms of points gained away from home. It's ridiculous for a team that achieved a 4th place finish last year with rearing amount the same squad. It's ridiculous to see what has changed. However, following on from that defeat, Villa now sits on 42 points having played 28 games. We're now, 5 points away from Manchester City in 4th place on 47, and Chelsea in 5th with 46 points, so we're about 4 points behind from them. Now, let's be logical. Yes, it's still technically mathematically possible. We are still only 4 or 5 points away. Realistically, we'd have to win 2 games in a hand, obviously, over them. But the problem is, look at those teams. Manchester City, you know, for as poor as they've been this season, they're still going to be in and around those positions. Chelsea, for as inconsistent as they be, they're still in and around that position. Let's look at the sides above it as well. Newcastle, again, inconsistent, but they're still in and around that position for the majority of the season. Bournemouth, Brighton and Fulham, 3 teams that have shown the same mental capacity and physical attributes that we showed last season. For me, there are 4 teams ahead of us there that deserve that opportunity for European football than we do, because we've been absolutely shocking. He's so inconsistent. How do you go from a Chelsea win and a Liverpool draw, 2 teams that we were looking on paper and saying it would be great if we could even get 3 points out of it? You get 4 points, go away from home, and then you go and lose 4-1 to Crystal Palace. It doesn't make sense. Again, yes, there's other factors in it. You can look at those, and that is a whole video to discuss on its own. But Villa just haven't been consistent enough in the league, and it's as simple as that. You know, you want to talk about run of games. Let's look at the last run of games that Villa have got in the league. 19th April, Newcastle at home. 26th April, Manchester City away. 3rd of May, Fulham at home. 10th of May, Bournemouth away. Tottenham at home, and then Man U away. It is not a favourable last 5 games. Hell, it's not even a favourable last set of period of games in general for Villa. So, for me personally, it's just not going to happen for Villa. Where do I realistically see us going? I see us going as high as 7th place. I don't see a European finish anymore. Yes, you can say it's a bit of a flip-flop reaction. It's not something that we're taking on much in. You know, yep, it can be mathematically possible, but be realistic here. We're not showing the capabilities of it. We're not showing a team that is pushing and fighting for a Champions League finish. We are showing the team that is just struggling right now, and we have mentally checked ourselves off. Again, it is a whole separate video that could be made. It is something that just does not seem to make sense with Aston Villa in the league. But like I said, if you don't have your away form as strong as your home form, you have no chance of achieving anything in the league, and that is something that needs to be addressed. And just ultimately, a lot of changes need to be made tactically to how we're playing. Unai Emery is just becoming too unpredictable. The football can be slow and indecisive at times. If you don't have a strong defence, don't go playing it out from the back. We saw it against Crystal Palace. A long ball ultimately got us a goal from Morgan Rogers, and yet when we play it out from the back, we then go and concede goals. Something needs to change. Set piece, Austin McVie needs to be sacked, because I've never understood how he's managed to last as long as he has at the club. And then generally as well, some players are just being carried to a standard that is just not at the level that we need him to be anymore. So that for me is the league completely a write-off. It is essentially for me, FA Cup, get the silverware and the European finish, go for the best possible finish in the Champions League, and then, I mean, we're not getting relegated from the Premier League, it's not mathematically possible. We could go theoretically lower than 10th place. However, the only real team that would probably pose that much of a threat to it would be Crystal Palace, because everyone else is just so inconsistent. But like I said, I think for me, really, I would take a 10th place finish if it means we can win the FA Cup. I think that's what really should be the priority. None of this, we're not a contender for the trophy. It should be, we are out to win the FA Cup. There should be a clear stamp of authority and a clear sense of direction from Unai Emery. What is it we're going to achieve this season? Are we achieving a good credibility in the Champions League? Are we going to achieve a European finish, or are we going to go win silverware? Something should have been clearly said and clearly outlined from Unai Emery to the fans to give us the belief as well. We'll look at it and we will back you on it. Otherwise, we're just going to get what we've had: inconsistency, imprecisiveness, and a shambles on and off the pitch. That's going to wrap up this video. I hope you have enjoyed. Leave us in the comments down below what you think should be the outcome for Aston Villa this season, ultimately what is going to happen. It will be an interesting last set of games for Aston Villa. Obviously, we've only got 11 more games to play in the league. Who knows what we're going to do there, and who knows what's going to be held next. But you know, it's been an interesting season. It's one that we need to keep an eye on and see what's going to be happening, because like I said, it's going to be a very interesting 18 months going ahead. But if you did enjoy the video, please subscribe. Please go and follow us on social media as well if you want to interact on there as well. But without further ado, we will see you for the FA Cup game against Cardiff City at the Villa with the Pride of Villa. We'll see you later, boys.